Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead Daryl Dixon Season 3 video. So let's talk about the very ending scene. I do want to talk about, obviously, the cliffhanger, the literal cliffhanger that we got at the very ending there. So obviously, before we go any further, make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. Tomorrow, I will do a video breaking down the trailer for the rest of the season, talk about episode 2. I'll probably do an episode 2 predictions video and talk about what we're probably going to get from there. Any new teasers that we do get for episode 2, I'll break down. I also want to talk about like the opening credits, and there's quite a bit of other things that I do want to get to. So definitely make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content. It's going to be a really exciting season. Honestly, let's just be so happy that The Walking Dead is back. So in this post-credit scene, or not the post-credit scene, what am I saying? In the ending scene of The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon Season 3 premiere, we actually see that, Carol went missing. And so, Daryl's wondering, where did she go? And so obviously it's not going to be something where, Carol's dead or like she's missing and taken to another community or like something like that. Like it's going to be very much like Daryl finds her pretty much right away. But I do think that that is something that was probably, really smart to do, I think, for the very ending, because there was so much in that episode, but I do think the pacing was perfect. I really do think everything for the most part was honestly a really great episode. There was probably like, a little bit that I would say in terms of the storm part where I think we could have saw a lot more. I really think if the storm was crazy and we saw like the ship going like this and that, like honestly, I think this episode could have been a 10 out of 10, but it was just missing something like that, right? But it was still a really good episode. I did really enjoy the premiere. But we do see Carol, well actually we don't see Carol. She went missing, and the last thing that we saw from her was that she woke up and she was wondering where she was, where Daryl was, and she got up and kind of went somewhere, and then obviously Daryl was like, wait, what's going on? And also I think that part there was also smart to do, because in case you haven't watched a lot of the trailers or teasers or anything and you don't really know what's happening next, you'd probably be wondering like, what happened to Carol? Did somebody take her? And you don't want it to feel like a cheap cliffhanger where it's like, I don't want to say like Glenn's dumpster death, but like, things like that where it's like, oh, did this character die? But obviously the character did not die, and it really seemed like the character might have died, or like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't want it to be like that. So I think seeing Carol get up and like walk somewhere, obviously we're just like, well, we just saw Carol get up and go somewhere, so she probably is out there, and Daryl's just wondering like, where is she, right? So I think it was kind of a cool ending to I guess leave the episode on, because I think the next episode we're going to get into I guess learning about the new characters, Roberto and Justina, that will take us to the new community called Salaz de Mar. So I could be saying that wrong, but I'm just going to pronounce that as that right now. Definitely correct me if I am saying it wrong, but that's likely where they're going here. Daryl is likely going to find Carol pretty much right away. I feel like in the opening minutes, he's going to find her there, like probably just like, I don't know, literally just like behind a hill or like something like that. And I think we're going to see Roberto and Justina, and it might be one of those things where Daryl's going to be like, wait, who's that, right? And Carol's going to be like, don't worry, they're not dangerous or anything. So it's going to be really exciting to meet these new characters, because I think episode 1 really showed us that these characters are amazing, great characters, and they know how to cast for these roles, right? So I'm definitely really excited to meet all these characters, because honestly, this show specifically has really always done so amazing with all the characters. And so I'm excited to meet Roberto and Justina, and then obviously Fede, Paz, and then I believe there's Antonio as well. There's a lot of characters. There's the King, who's going to be like the villain this season. So a lot of stuff we're going to see in episode 2, but maybe episode 3. I think that the first episode really, properly set up a lot of, where Daryl and Carol are at, and really set the stage for what the story is going to be in Spain. Now, I do believe that in this second episode, they are going to go to Salaz del Mar. So I think they'll go there, and we're going to meet a lot of new characters like Fede. I think Paz could be there as well. Antonio, I believe we're going to meet as well. Obviously, Justina and Roberto will meet probably right away. I think they'll be the first characters we do meet. And it'll be cool to learn a lot more about the community, right? Like, what is the community about? And what is the story going to be for the season? Are we going to see the villains and all of that? Like, I do feel like the group that we saw in the very beginning, or actually it's not even the very beginning, but at night there on the shore in Spain, I think that group there is probably the villain group, just because you heard the music and it was very distinct and just different, and it really felt like it was something that really, was going to be like the villain's music. So I think that group is going to come back at some point here. I think that was a little bit of a tease to that. And yeah, I think that episode 3 will probably get into that a lot more. We'll probably learn a little bit in episode 2, but I do think that episode 2 is mostly going to introduce us to Salaz del Mar, and we'll learn a lot about the place and all the characters and the people there and everything. And I'm just so excited to be here in this story and actually see all the characters, because honestly, like, Julian, he was a really great character in episode 1, and I'm just excited to have more characters like that in this show. Like, episode 1 was just really exciting. I don't know what it was, but it was just so exciting. I also want to point out one thing here, and that is that episode 1 really made the characters feel like they could die. Like, it's a weird thing, but it always feels like they're going to survive and like get out of situations pretty easily. And it is very difficult, like this many years later, to make it feel scary, right? Like, oh, these characters could die in this situation or whatever. But for some reason, it just felt like the characters could die. I don't know what it was. It's hard to explain what I mean. Maybe you kind of already get it, but I just feel like that was the thing about this episode that made it really awesome. It was like these characters are trying to survive, and they were in situations where it was like, how do we get out of this? And this is, really scary. And like all of the walkers in London felt terrifying. Like all of the walkers actually felt threatening. And that's, I think very difficult to do at this point. And honestly, like now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like it's just the way they execute a lot of the scenes. If they make the characters just kill walkers like nothing, then it just kind of feels like it. And obviously they do that to some extent, but it felt like in this episode when the walkers were going to that building that they had to go up to the top or whatever, and they had to block off those doors, and they were trapped. Like they were actually trapped there. It actually felt like the characters could not get out of that situation. And obviously they did because of Julian's help, but it actually felt like that. It actually felt like it was something that, oh, are the characters gonna die here? Or obviously we knew they were gonna survive, but it just felt scary. And also as well, like when they were on the boat as well, like with the storm, that was also amazing. So I'm just really happy that this show did that. And the one thing that I thought about was, I bet you Andrew Lincoln, if he watches this episode, which I don't think he's going to, but this is something he probably wants for Rick Grimes. Like he wants Rick to be in like this survival story, right? Where it's like, again, what he said before, simplistic survival horror, where it's just, Rick just trying to survive and he's by himself. And I think that's what we got here with Daryl and Carol. It's kind of hilarious, but they were trying to get back home. It felt so hopeful and inspiring at times, but it did feel kind of stressful. Like it was really interesting and entertaining to watch. And it actually felt like things were challenging for the characters. Like, oh, could they make it out of this? Because we all knew that they were going to end up in Spain. But seeing how everything played out, it was just really cool to see. I don't know. So I hope for Rick's next story that it is actually done like that. And I'm excited to see what they're going to do next for season 3 here anyways. And if the story is going to continue at this pace, I imagine that it is going to slow down a little bit, obviously, because you have to see the other characters and meet obviously all the people in that community and just like all of that, right? So it's probably going to slow down a little bit, but I just like the fact that things felt terrifying, and I'm really excited for that episode. I think it's episode 5, I believe, where Daryl is like surviving on his own in the desert, and it's basically like the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm really excited for that. Carol also does need help. Like that was the one thing about this scene that was really incredible, was like if she didn't get help, she was likely going to die. And it was just really crazy to see. And I think like, the scene where Daryl is trying to take that piece of metal out or whatever, like that was absolutely just like, I could not believe I was seeing that. To see Carol in a situation like that was just like, what am I seeing? Honestly, it kind of reminded me of the scene from Rambo 3, I believe, where Rambo has to like repair a wound or whatever. It was just a really cool scene like that. But again, the characters in this episode were like surviving. They were like trying to get out of this situation, and things were just, obviously really bad for them. And so like, I really like that. I like the fact that this episode here was actually like a really challenging episode for the characters. Now, like I was saying, obviously this episode ends on a cliffhanger, and literally Daryl is standing on the edge of a cliff. So, I don't know if that was intentional there, but he's literally standing on the edge of a cliff. And yeah, it's exciting. I'm excited The Walking Dead is back here, and I can't wait to see the next episode. I wish that it was airing now. I actually know a lot of people that are watching the episode, which is surprising. They're watching on cable, and they actually let me know as I was recording this that they're actually starting to watch this. So they'll have to watch seasons 1 and 2, but that's a really great sign, I would say, for the show. I'm excited to see what the ratings are going to be like for this show. Like, are the ratings going to be bad, or you know what I mean? But anyways, I'm gonna leave it here. Definitely post all your thoughts down below. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.